little Miss Dirty. See, look at you. You're right next to me. See that?
Yeah, I see that now.
Next to me.
I wasn't.
I'm just saying. And there she is, little Miss Dirty. How are you folks tonight? Well, we're not going to call her Little Miss Dirty. We're going to call her M. There she is. Dirty's little princess. This is Family Time. It was a show that we used to do when we were at another radio station.
Except we had Little Dirty.
We did have Little Dirty with us. But, you know, you're getting older. And, have a job.
Sort of.
And I don't get to spend as much time with you. This is the way for us to work together. Right? And so, while we were talking about this, we're talking about how we are going to talk about the subjects that parents should be having with their children. Like different little things, correct? We decided that I'm going to have some conversations that I don't want to hear with you. Correct?
Correct.
But it's a good way for us to get it out there and to where we can give parents and children a thought about certain things, right?
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
Whoa. For who?
I don't know.
Not for me. It's going to be rough for me. I am not wanting to have some of these conversations. Right?
Right.
I mean, like, what do you think? Oh, I see. What do you think that one of the most honest conversations that we want to discuss would be hard for you?
I don't know.
Can't think of anything.
I mean, I don't know.
Can't think of nothing. I can think of one that has 3 letters.
Boys?
Okay, 2. 2.
What else?
You don't have to scream. I have you turned up. You can sit just like that. Talk. Listen.
I can't hear myself now.
There you go. Can you hear yourself now?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. It starts with an S.
Oh, sex. Ew!
That
I don't need to talk about that.
doesn't want to sound
I'm a
like
child.
Huh?
I'm a child of God.
Good. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. But no, it'd be little stuff like that that we talk about. You know, stuff like that. It's conversations that parents should be having with children.
Especially at my age.
Yeah. Okay, why don't you explain what's your name and who you are?
I'm M.
Yeah.
I am Dirty's only daughter.
I have 2 other daughters. I'm a
Biological daughter. I am.
You're my youngest.
I'm not your youngest.
My youngest.
Your youngest daughter. I am.
So let's get it in. There's Dirty, and then we have Mrs. Dirty.
And then Dirty's
Dirty used to be married.
ex-Dirty's wife.
Right. So you are my biological daughter.
Your only biological daughter with 3 other boys.
Boy, you're absolutely correct. And I have 2 other daughters. And I love them just like their mom.
There's 6 of us total. I'm almost the youngest. I have 1 younger brother. Everyone else is older than that. I'm a freshman in high school. Just started that. I don't know.
Yeah, you just... Okay, so let's talk about that. You're a freshman in high school. Now, how is high school going for you?
It's good.
You like high school so far?
I
What's been the most challenging thing in high school so far?
Science.
Science?
I almost failed it and had to take it again.
Right? You did?
Almost.
What do you mean, almost?
Like, I didn't fail it. The final helped my grade.
The final helped your grade?
Even though I got a bad grade in the final, but it was my grade still.
Okay. So what was so difficult about it?
I just didn't pay attention in class. Science is the worst. I'm not going to need it for my degree when I'm looking.
What are you going to be?
No. I'm not going to need to learn about volcanoes. No. Or I'm not going to have. I'm not going to need to learn about igneous, metamorphic, or sedimentary rocks.
Right, okay.
Like, that's just not helpful for me, personally.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Why do you not think so?
Because I'm not going to have to pick up a metamorphic. Yeah,
I know.
I'm not going to need to go outside and pick up a metamorphic rock. Be right here.
Let's talk about that. What is it about education, like that's just a need to do. Like you gotta like be in shape, you gotta be able to do things. And then health, you're gonna need to learn how to like about the body and like all that about staying in school.
What video?
How school sucks or something like that.
What video?
I don't know, it was on YouTube. You know him, he always shows me something goofy. That dude is on YouTube, left and right.
I am too, but like not as much as that.
Right. So he showed me a video.
I'm strapped in.
You don't need school or something. Let me see if I can
stuck in a song.
But like, as a kid growing up today, what's like one of the hardest things?
Like a merry-go-round. My head is spinning.
You got your ass beat.
I see you up and about.
The hardest thing is probably
I'm sure as
getting
hell
back to school really early, especially as like little kids.
Right.
Like the middle school. The middle school just to wake up at 5 a.m. That's probably the hardest thing. Sometimes it takes long. And then a lot of kids can't go out and do things like but then there's also some things that we pick things that we like to do or things that we're gonna need. Like next year, I'm doing foods.
Okay.
Starting for my career I'm gonna do, and then senior year I'm doing foods 2 and 3. Like that's gonna help me out more with my career I'm gonna do.
Okay.
So it's just easier for us to do all that and pick our own schedule and do things we're interested in instead of just wasting our time going to certain classes that we're probably not going to need.
All
like
right.
doing 3 years of science. Like, what are you going to need that for?
Okay, so so we're going to play the video now.
I can't see that far away.
You can't?
No.
No, it's all right. Don't worry. So here we go. Here's the video. This is called Don't Stay in School, courtesy of YouTube.
I wasn't taught how to get a job,
but I can remember dissecting a frog. I wasn't taught how to pay tax, but I know loads about Shakespeare's classics. I was never taught how to vote. They devoted that time to defining isotopes. I wasn't taught how to look after my health, but mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Never spent a lesson on current events. Instead I studied the old American West. I was never taught what laws there are. I was never taught what laws there are. Let me repeat, I was not taught the laws for the country I live in, but I know how Henry VIII killed his women. Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. Glad that's in my head instead of financial advice. I was shown the wavelengths of different hues of light, but I was never taught my human rights. Apparently there's 30. Do you know them? I don't. Why the hell can't we both recite them by rote? I know igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary rocks, yet I don't know squat about trading stocks or how money works at all. Where does it come from? How does the thing that motivates the world function? Not taught to budget and disperse my earnings. I was too busy there rehearsing cursive. Didn't learn how much it costs to raise a kid or what an affidavit is, but I spent days on what the quadratic equation is. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. They made me learn that over basic first aid, or how to recognize the most deadly mental disorders or diseases with preventable causes, or how to buy a house with a mortgage if I could afford it, because abstract maths was deemed more important than advice that would literally save thousands of lives. But it's cool, because now I can tell you if the number of unnecessary deaths caused by that choice was prime. Never taught present-day practical medicines, but I was told what the ancient Hippocratic method is. I've got a headache, the pain is ceaseless, what should I take? Maybe try some leeches? Could we discuss domestic abuse and get the facts, or how to help my...
That because you wanted to. All right. Now, as we're sitting here listening to it, you said that there's something in there that's not right.
There's a few things in there that I'm sitting over here listening to, because he said you're not learning about current events, you're just learning about old history. In class today, I was really talking about, yesterday, because I didn't have history today.
Okay.
In class yesterday, I was talking about the current event about Donald Trump shutting down the government.
Okay.
So that's a current event that we're talking about. And almost every time we have class, or like every other time we have class, we do read an article about current events. Okay. So he said that we don't do, he or she,
well, wait, it's a he. I mean, but in general, how much are you really learning about current events when you're in history? It's more of the stuff that was in the past, correct?
Not really, because it's about an even thing, because we only spend about half the semester, maybe a little more, about learning about old history, and then the other half or less, we spend reading articles about current events, writing about it, and because we have a whole document about current events things, so we write about it, and we have a whole thing about it.
Okay.
So if we don't fill it all out by the end of the semester, she's she docks grades. It's part of our grade, because we learn about current events. And then he said something about a house mortgage and stuff like that. In math, last semester we did a project about budgeting and all that kind of stuff, about our career, our college, how we're going to get a house, how we're going to buy all that, and we had to have a grand total of how much we get from the job. So that's also something you do.
Let's go back and finish, because I think this was a little older. So you said this was just last year you started learning this, correct?
No, this is this year.
Okay, this year. So let's go back and listen some more.
Oh wait, I have one more thing about raising a child.
Yeah.
If you take child development, which is, you can choose to take that class, you learn about raising a child and all that stuff. So it's technically, you're either choosing to do that or you're not. So technically he also is wrong about that. And you also learn about that kind of in health a little bit whenever you're in middle school around that age.
All right, so let's finish it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Depressed friend with a mental state? No, but learn mental maths, because you won't have a calculator with you every day. They say it's not the kids, the parents are the problem. Then if you taught the kids to parent, that's the problem solved then. Or this advice about using a condom, but not for when you actually have a kid when you want one. I'm only fluent in this language, for serious, the rest of the world speaks too. Do you think I'm an idiot? You chose to solo over the political system, so like a typical citizen, now I don't know what I'm voting on. Which policies exist or how to make them change me. Je parle un peu de français. So at 18 I was expected to elect a representative for a system I had never ever been presented with. But I won't take it. I'll tell everyone my childhood was wasted. I'll share it everywhere how I was educated, and insist these pointless things don't stay in school.
Okay, now
What?
let's see what. Let's finish it out.
There's more?
Well, yeah, it's just we're just reading this part.
I can't read that.
Oh, it says nobody should be forced to learn something you don't say in school. Share this hashtag. Okay, so you know me. I'm about for you guys to stay in school.
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't really do I mean
if you live in the St. Louis area
and are tired of settling,
with your career,
with your income,
with your freedom,
then turn up your speakers
and listen up.
There's a live real estate event coming to the St. Louis area. And I just read an article. 90% of millionaires were created by real estate.
Forbes.com said, in a year of unprecedented market volatility, real estate remains widely regarded as one of the safest investments you can make. So why aren't people doing it?
Why aren't people doing it?
First, people think you need a ton of money to get involved in real estate. Well, that's about as false as Gam Gam's teeth. There are strategies where you can use little or even none of your own money.
Second, people don't know how to get started. There is a live event coming right here to your town to show you techniques on how to get started in this incredible real estate market and ways you can fund your deals.
Click the link below for 2 free tickets and find out how real estate can change your future.
There's some things that he's talking about which I agree with. Like other languages, I agree with that. All that stuff about the metamorphic and stuff, rocks like that. I brought that up.
Right.
But the mortgage thing is more like you have to pay attention in class. Like some teachers will do that and say that kind of stuff. Like how my teacher in my math class, we learned about that stuff and we brought up all how if we were to release our apartment and stuff like that, and we did all that in class. There's some teachers that do that.
This was done. He did this over a year ago. This guy did this.
I wasn't taught how to get a job,
you're saying
but I can remember dissecting a frog. I wasn't taught how to pay tax, but I know loads about Shakespeare's classics. I was never taught how to vote. They devoted that time to defining isotopes. I wasn't taught how to look after my health, but mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Never spent a lesson on current events. Instead, I studied the old American West. I was never taught what laws there are. I was never taught what laws there are. Let me repeat, I was not taught the laws for the country I live in. But I know how Henry VIII killed his women. Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. Glad that's in my head instead of financial advice. I was shown the wavelengths of different hues of light, but I was never taught my human rights. Apparently there's 30. Do you know them? I don't. Why the hell can't we both recite them by rote? I know igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary books, yet I don't know squat about trading stocks or how money works at all. Where does it come from? How does the thing that motivates the world function? Not taught to budget and disperse my earnings. I was too busy there rehearsing cursive. Didn't learn how much it costs to raise a kid and what an affidavit is, but I spent days on what the quadratic equation is. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. They made me learn that over basic first aid, or how to recognize the most deadly mental disorders or diseases with preventable causes, or how to buy a house with a mortgage if I could afford it, because abstract maths was deemed more important than advice that would literally save thousands of lives. But it's cool, because now I can tell you if the number of unnecessary deaths caused by that choice was prime. Never taught present-day practical medicines, but I was told what the ancient Hippocratic method is. I've got a headache, the pain is ceaseless, what should I take? Maybe try some leeches? Could we discuss domestic abuse and get the facts, or how to help my depressed friend with a mental state? No, but learn mental maths, because you won't have a calculator with you every day. They say it's not the kids, the parents are the problem. Then if you taught the kids to parent, that's the problem solved then. All this advice about using a condom, but not for when you actually have a kid when you want one. I'm only fluent in this language. For serious, the rest of the world speaks too. Do you think I'm an idiot? To toast the solo over the political system, so like a typical citizen now I don't know what I'm voting on. Which policies exist or how to make them change. Mais oui, je parle un peu de français. So at 18 I was expected to elect a representative for a system I had never ever been presented with. But I won't take it. I'll tell everyone my childhood was wasted. I'll share it everywhere how I was educated, and insist these pointless things don't stay in school.
Like a time where they should be talking about like more serious issues, kind of like what me and Linda do on One Nation Network, or what me and Uncle Damien do on the DCS show. Do you think that they should be doing something like that in those classes?
Tell everyone my childhood was wasted.
Down on how you guys can make your future better and how you can make things brighter and get people to come along together.
Yeah, I think they should do that because right now, as like almost every week we have TAP, or like every month we have a lesson, like our mentors teach us, or just kids are hired
girly, worthless gay, give me every minute back that I wasted looking at your face. Your very presence irritates me. I can't listen to what you say because you lack a masculinity. Sickens me and I can't take it.
Else. And it's like I've always said, you don't believe it's going to happen until it happens in your bubble.
Yes.
And into your life, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, you watch the news, and I mean, you've probably watched the news, and you're like, "Oh, that's never going to happen to me."
I don't really think about that kind of thing because I feel like our family has really bad luck with saying that kind of thing and then it actually happening to us.
Such a beautiful day.
So I don't really think that like it is a possibility for something like that to happen to us. But like everyone around me was like, "Oh my God, that would have never happened." Blah blah. And it was happening.
Get on the road, top down,
Happened to us.
favorite.
And I was thinking, They're going to be there no matter what because they have to go to school, and like they can go do that, so I can just come in and do this because they're going to have to be there. So like it's just as kids we see it as they're just people mentally.
Last, you know, we thought of school. Our parents thought of school as, oh, that's that place where it's safe.
Yeah.
And kids will learn. I'll know where they're at grade. Now it's 2018, 2019. Kids because now I'm like, can I send my kids to school?
Hi, this is Josh from 21 Pilots. Listen to our new album, featuring
As a parent, that's what we
now
think
on the
of.
YouTube Music
we're going to send my kid to school. They're
Whatever
going to be safe and all this. As a kid,
What's up? My name is Rumi, and I'm here with my daughter, Jenny.
And as you see on TV,
so today we're gonna try out doing music and other things in slow motion.
I still feel like safe because like there are people like we've done mini drills over and over and over again.
Are we not?
But the thing always comes back to like kids that are like the kid that
so
shot
basically
like
that means that
sort
we'll
of
have to be
shooting or
really,
whatever it
really
was,
fast, and then slow it down, and then
it happened to kids that graduated and stuff like that or dropped out. I don't remember what he did,
Eminem,
but he knew everything around the school. He knew where his kids were, where the kids were. He wanted to. He knew everything. Like he knew like the whole drop down. And then there was a kid that got caught with the notebook, planned out like how he's gonna get it in, what class he's gonna go to, what teachers have what key to get into what classrooms for whenever they all go into lockdown, all of that. So I see it as it's a safe place, but it's also not a safe place because as we're doing all these shows over and over and over and over again, getting it stuck in our heads, those kids that could be graduating now, like I'm gonna be able to shoot school up because of how like, they know everything that's going to go down. They know all the codes that are going to be said. The intercom, they're going to know how to get in, they're going to know how to get out, they're going to know what zone to go to, what areas to go to at all times. And they're going to know what classrooms, like teachers and what areas all have like. So they're going to find out what teachers have what snap back to reality. Up goes gravity, up goes gravity. Choke me so mad, but it won't give a that easy. No, we don't. Because of how
that's so good. I love the mom's spaghetti. I need to see that again.
Mom's heavy, this farming in the sweater already. Mom's spaghetti,
Bruno Mars, that's what I like.
Gold jewelry shining so bright. Strawberry champagne, no nice. Looking for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Looking for you, that's what I like. That's what I like.
There's like some teachers all have like multiple keys that go to each classroom or something like that. And then the codes typically always say the same because they don't want to tell every like however many teachers, like 300 teachers or whatever, in the school what a new code is because like because they also don't let the students know that this is what's gonna happen, this is what you gotta do. And most of the time, like whenever we were on soft lockdown, they just said we're going on to soft lockdown. Teachers, you know, the protocol, just lock your doors and have no kids can leave, call the office and then leave, right? So that was already a thing, like, if the kid did have a gun, he could go around and easily, like, just be on soft lockdown, and then he could start shooting, and then they'd have to go over the intercom again and say they're going on to hard lockdown. So then we'd all have to hide, but by then he could at least hit, like, 3 or 4 classes before the teachers would have actually known that there was a hard lockdown. Because all they really say over the intercom is either certain, like, things about books or something like that, or they're going to say, like, it's a hard lockdown, like, lock down your classroom, hide the kids, blah, blah, blah. Do whatever you can, do the 4 E's, or do anything. So, like, kids could technically, like, it's not really, like, a thing to say, like, it's always just the same thing over and over again, so kids could know that from kids that graduate or kids that went to school and left want to get revenge.
Or something like that.
I was never told what laws there are. They're keeping the same protocols in year after year after year. And I understand, you know, I used to work in the school district, but why wouldn't you said so? You said there's certain teachers who have a key to all of the rooms.
Like your faces are hysterical.
It's so good. Music playing. Somebody says.
This gives me flashbacks to so many nights talking to drunk people.
This is like a drunk guy ranting about the school system.
Rumi, numb.
This one, I really pushed myself.
It's really loud.
It is really loud.
Whatever happened to childhood? Whatever happened to dreams? Whatever happened to memories? Whatever happened to me? You compromise so you believe and then you're not believing nothing.
Do this just to be on the safe side. There we go. There we go. I'll try that. Tell me if that's better. Tell me if that's better. It's always something. But you gotta love it. We're the most unprofessional professional.
Yep.
Well, at least I am.
Hey!
What?
I'm professional.
You are?
Yes, I'm 100% professional.
Yeah. But so for me, that's just terrifying.
Yeah.
Is that they're not changing those codes all the time for you guys and stuff like that. And to me, that's just terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, can you even hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go on.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's not really like, sometimes there's code, sometimes it's just like, oh, we're going on lockdown, like, you better, like, it's gonna be, like, something's gonna happen, you never know what's gonna happen, you just gotta be able to get done with this and stuff like that.
Right.
So, like, to me, it's just, there are gonna be kids that are gonna be like that, and if it's gonna be like that, it's gonna be like that. You either got to barricade the door and, like, prepare for the worst. Or you just gotta try to get out and go, like, as far as you can. I could technically walk home because of how close we live. I could cross the football field, get into my friend's backyard, and walk from there.
Right.
But, I mean, it all just comes to them at, like, the time where, like, if something's gonna happen, you just gotta be prepared for the worst. Like, you don't know what's gonna ever happen.
Right.
It's just something you gotta do.
I mean, it's 2019. Should you guys really be scared to go to school?
I mean, some kids are scared, some kids aren't scared. We don't really worry about it. Like, we don't really think, like, oh, we're going to have a school shooting any day now. Like, this is going to happen.
Right.
We just think about it. We're going to go on through school, do what we need to do, get everything we need to do, get our education, live through these last 3 years, whatever you have left of school, and make sure nothing bad happens. That's what we're all, like, that's our mindset.
Okay, so let's go back to your TAPS class.
Okay.
That you have at, what is it, every other day you said?
On B days.
On B days. And you said it's just you guys are sitting there for an hour and a half, either maybe catching up a homework or
checking emails,
your text messaging and all of that. And we had mentioned that maybe they could do something a little more productive with that time, like having serious conversations about, like one broad point that you brought up was depression and stuff like that, because I'm sure you've had suicides in school.
Not that I know
You
of.
haven't had any suicides yet?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I'm only a freshman, though.
Well, I mean, none in the first semester? Okay. So, but I mean, you have a lot of kids that are probably depressed. Okay. So, like, in that TAP, so let's say all the kids are done and they're sitting there doing their thing. What if, like, the teachers got off to the side with certain children and said, hey, what is it that's bothering you guys today?
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
What, I mean, do you think that would be beneficial for kids today?
I mean, like, talking, like, seeing, like, teachers could recognize, like, kids that are upset, or, like, they could, like, recognize if a kid's off or normal. Because, like, me, I'm always, like, happy and bubbly. I'm, like, always, like, hyper at school. I'm always talking to every teacher I have because I like all my teachers. So, like, if a teacher sees me that I'm, like, quiet or, like, I'm just staying to myself, they know something's going to be probably wrong, or, like, they can talk to me and they're like, what's wrong, blah, blah, blah. Most of the time, nothing's wrong, but, like, other kids, they could be, like, a person like me that's always happy, bubbly, talking a lot, and stuff like that, and they could, like, get all of a sudden, like, one day be, like, completely down, not talk, be quiet, like, stay distance from their friend. And if a teacher doesn't really recognize that, it's probably going to be unbeneficial for the kid, because the kid could have, like, bad thoughts, and, like, they could be doing all kinds of things. Teachers should be pulling kids aside and stuff like that if there's something like that. Because my English teacher, he had a kid commit suicide whenever he was teaching in his earlier years, and it was hard for him. So, like, he's always, like, knows, like, when to talk to a kid or something like that.
Okay.
But, like, some teachers might not know, like, they are like, oh, they're just quiet because they're tired or something like that. Because a lot of kids are always tired in school because we wake up so early and do all this.
Right, okay.
So it could be like that, but it also could be teachers just don't know how to recognize some things, or they just don't want to, like, think, like, they just think it's not their problem because they just gotta make sure nothing bad happens.
But let's go to it, because, you know, like, the big thing is, like, suicide and the bullying in schools and all that stuff, right? But so these teachers are being, you know, taught to look for this stuff.
So it could be like that, but it also could be
look for that. But yet,
teachers just don't know how to recognize some things.
Should they really? Should they be looking and reaching out to the kids? and looking forward to them, because I mean, if you really look at it and you see in the news, I mean, if one kid could look at a teacher could look at a kid the wrong way, and then the kid's flying off the handle, yelling, screaming at the teacher, saying he's going to beat the teacher up, and then everybody's got their phones out.
That's true. I feel like teachers should just, I feel like, back to the tab thing, we should just have, like, conversations and stuff like that, instead of having a teacher have to look up for that kind of thing, and make sure kids don't, like, do all that, because, like, it could be bad for the teacher, and at the end of the day, like, the kids could go off, and, like, they could do all kinds of things. So I feel like we should just have, like, talks about it, but, like, other than that, like, there's not really much teachers can do for us kids, because we do take things very personally now. Everyone's over-offended about everything, and it's just, like, all, like, kind of things that we just need to, like, have teachers just talk to us.
Okay, so let's, I mean, are kids taught that at home? Where are they taught that at? Why are people, how are you guys as children? Because I'm seeing that it's the disrespect from children, talking to the way they talk to their adults, the disrespect that they have towards their elders. Because in my opinion, they're not getting enough discipline at home. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how I'm seeing it as a parent, is that you guys are disrespectful little brats. No, I mean, but this is how parents see this. And, you know, I mean, you see me with your two older brothers. I mean, they won't smart off to me because they know better.
Yeah.
Because they know they'll get their head knocked off.
Well, nowadays, kids aren't disciplined, like, at all. Like, I'm barely disciplined. Like, if I don't do something, like... But I mostly, like, I do my stuff, and I do, like, get all of my things done.
When you come up to my house, I don't tolerate your...
Yeah, because normally I am good, though. Normally I do just sit around and, like, yeah. But some kids that are, like, back talking to their parents and doing all that kind of thing, they never get disciplined. Like, kids my grade, they're like, I've never been spanked before. I'm like, I was never spanked. Like, I haven't been spanked much, but, like, if I was bad, I would get spanked and stuff like that. But kids are like, what does that even mean? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's just, like...
Okay, so do you think that as parents, we're doing it for you to fear us? Or do you think that we're trying to teach you something by doing it?
I think you guys are trying to teach us something, like what's bad, what's not, like what's something you can't do, what's something you should do. Like, kids now just think, like, anything that they can do anything, they'll get away with it because their parents don't care.
Right.
Because parents don't discipline, parents don't do any of this. So kids see it as, like, I'm going to get away because my mom doesn't care. Kids see it like, I won't get in trouble, so it doesn't matter, I can do whatever I want now. So I feel like parents are trying to teach us something by disciplining us and, like, taking our phones, making us do all this kind of thing, grounding us. I think it's, like, you're learning something, but, like, at the same time, we won't notice that until after, like, you see improvement.
Right. So, I mean, like, you've talked to your older brothers. You've heard what's happened to them. I mean, the bass, I remember he was 7, he just quit. He started laughing at me when I spanked him.
Yeah.
So then I got the belt. Then I spanked him with the belt. Now, people today will say that's child abuse.
Yeah.
Okay? Which, I mean, maybe it is. But to this day, if I say something...
He'll do it.
He'll do it. Same with your older brother.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Little Dirty. If I say something, he will do it.
Little Dirty's worse.
That's Mini Dirty.
Mini Dirty, he talks back a lot.
Not to me, no.
Kind of.
You know, remember that time you guys were out at the house and he was going crazy? And I just pulled him over. You guys were acting like little assholes. And I spanked you guys both right there. And
when?
This was like when me and Mrs. Dirty got together, like right after we got married. Okay, so here you go. Here's a good question. Do you think kids feel neglected by their parents who are constantly on their cell phone or social media?
Like parents on their social media or kids on social media?
No, the question is, do you think kids feel neglected by the parents who are constantly on their cell phones or social media?
Like the parents are on their cell phones and stuff like that?
That's the question, yeah.
I don't think kids feel neglected because kids are always on their cell phones. Mm-hmm. So it's like a change. Like kids are like, this is what it feels like. Like it's like parents are trying to teach them a lesson being like that. So it gets like kids like, this is what it feels like to be like ignored, like what it feels like to not get questions answered or like have more attention brought to me. Like that's probably kids was thinking. Like they're not probably thinking they're getting neglected. Kids are probably thinking like they're trying to get back at me because I'm doing all this. I feel like they're just gonna think more to like get more. I don't know how I'm trying to say this.
Well, go on. I mean, you're making good points.
I feel like kids are just going to think of it as, like, they're just trying to get back at me for what I'm doing to them, and they're just trying to, like, show them how I do this.
Okay. With you saying that, don't you think that is a way of neglect?
I don't think it's neglect because it's not like parents are making the kids sit there. Like, the parents are not, like, sitting on the couch on their phones nonstop watching TV or, like, completely ignoring the kid while the kid's, like, having to feed itself, do its own laundry, do everything for the house. Like,
right.
Parents are, like, on their cell phones. They're not really on their cell phones that much because as they grew up, they didn't have cell phones that often, so they weren't really, like, raised to, like, have a cell phone.
Okay.
So they're, like, they're probably thinking of it as, like, they're trying to get back at me and show me what I did. So it's like a parent trying to teach their kid a lesson, technically.
But to me, like I said, when I was a kid, I did something wrong. Your grandma... She got the wooden spoon. She got the plastic spoon. She spanked my ass.
Yeah.
Okay? Parents now, it seems like me, I was taught that way. You guys did something bad?
You'd get hit.
I spanked you guys.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. I mean, as you guys have gotten older, it would be a little demeaning and demoralizing.
Yeah, now that we're older.
At 15 years old, but if you did something bad enough, I still probably would spank you guys with the belt.
I think it is more of a lesson like that, like as we go back to that.
Okay.
I think it is more of a lesson for the kids because kids are going to think like, oh, I shouldn't do this because this is like a consequence. Like they're going to have a consequence. So I feel like kids that never had that or kids that are more snobby and are kids that are more like talk back more and stuff like that, or like kids that are maybe neglected. So it's like the parents are just sitting there like, you can do this whatever you want, I don't care, just like live through life and don't die. That's what they're trying to teach their kids. They're not teaching them like, oh, this is bad, don't do that, or I'm gonna hit you or something like that.
You just said that. Okay, so let's go back to what you just said and let's look at what you said. You're saying parents would just say, okay, here, you can just do it whatever you want and not do it. You don't think that's a form of neglect from a parent to a child. Just to let that child do whatever they want, not teach them about the consequences or anything like that. You don't think that's a form of neglect?
That is probably a form of neglect. Okay. That's what I'm thinking. But, like, I think...
Because you want to see it through my eyes? Sure. That is a form of neglect. Like, if I told you guys, all 6 of you, hell, do whatever the hell you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just do it. Just don't die. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go do my thing. You don't think I'm neglecting you to teaching you what's right from wrong?
I think that is a form of neglect because the kid is just...
It's not a form. It is neglect. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because the kid's just trying to get on with their life and, like, try to live through it like they're the adult. Like, they're just trying to take care of themselves.
Right.
And get through everything. That's what, like, technically it is for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how parents are,
as
like...
As a kid, you're not seeing it as neglect.
As a kid, if I were put into that situation, I would probably see it as neglect.
Okay.
But other kids might not see it as neglect. They might see it as, like, my mom doesn't care, like, go me. Like, I can do whatever I want. Like, who wants to party or something like that.
Right.
Some kids think, like, I can do whatever. That doesn't matter. My mom doesn't care, blah, blah, blah. But then some kids might think, like, that's probably, like, I don't know what I'm going to do here. My mom's, like, completely, like, leaving me on my own. Like, what am I supposed to do?
And do you think that psychologically... Because as I've gotten older and I started to see things and see how these kids nowadays are acting, do you not see that the way a kid is shaped in those first 12 years of their life going to school, that doesn't shape them to become the person they are later in life?
What do you mean?
So, like, you know what's right from wrong. So as you become older, you're going to know that it's not okay to steal because you know there's going to be a consequence.
Yeah.
You know it's not okay to disrespect your elders.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's not okay to, if you see somebody with a disability or somebody with a different skin, you're not going to judge them for that person, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But these kids that are just getting away with everything, do you think that's good? That's the way? Do you think that you're 12 years in school? From the time you're in kindergarten, so it's 13, so you graduate, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are 12 years of your formative life that you think are the hardest part of your life? You think they're horrible? You think they suck?
I mean, they suck, but they're not the hardest part.
Well, why? Okay, but you see kids now thinking they are the hardest. I mean,
yeah.
That's why you have the suicide rate. Like, I was looking up something, and do you know that the suicide rate for young black children has raised over 75-something%? Because the ages of 8 to 14?
Because kids nowadays just bully kids like that. They're like, oh, you're not my color. And they don't know better. They're like, oh, I don't, like, nothing's going to happen. Like, you're just going to be there and you're just going to take it. You're not going to fight back. You're not going to do anything about it. So I can talk whatever I want on you and you will never do anything about it. Mm-hmm. So that's what kids, like, my age or, like, kids younger than me are thinking. Like, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to act on it. I can say or do whatever I want to them.
Right.
So kids, like, especially like kids like my color discriminating against kids other colors, they're always like, oh, you're not going to do anything, come at me, like I can talk whatever I want about you, like fight me, do whatever you want, you're not going to actually do anything, like nothing's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But the kids my age or like any other kids never really know what they're actually going to do. Like they never know about suicide, they never think about that kind of things because they think it's just like, oh, I can bully you, I can do whatever I want, you're not going to go to that extent.
Right. So I mean, okay, so we had talked about this when we were at the other station about bullying of kids, and I had said that it's got to be kids don't realize, because when I was a kid we were bullied, we were picked on, we were made fun of. To us it wasn't really bullying, even though it really was.
Yeah.
We just thought it was a way of life. Mm-hmm. And I said, you kids don't have it nowhere harder than adults, because you get up, we go to work. We make sure that we get a paycheck to pay your guys' house, to buy your clothes, to buy your food, to make sure you guys are taken care of. I said it's way more stressful to be an adult. You say it's way more stressful to be a child.
Yeah.
But why do you say? But as we talked about it, the reason why you say it was more stressful is because of why is it more stressful to be a kid now than it is to be an adult now.
Okay, well, we also wake up, go to school, get an education to where we can be an adult earlier, like later on in our life. We sit in school 8 hours a day, 30 minutes, and like in my case, I sit in class for 90 minutes a day, getting an education, learning about all these things so I can prepare for my life later on. And it is stressful because of bullying, the depression that could come to it, the suicidal thoughts you could have, and being able to stand up for yourself and being able to do whatever. And then you also have to come home and deal with your siblings and deal with your chores and deal with all these other things you have to do. Homework on homework. There's a lot of other things that we have to do. Like we have to bring work home with us. School is work to us, so we have to come home and we have to bring it home with us. We got to do loads of it, and then we have to go back tomorrow and get more of it to do when we get home again. And then it goes on with, there can be bullying like in the work. There can be, like, you can get suicidal thoughts, you can get depression, you can be bipolar, you can do all these kind of things. You can hate your teachers, you can hate anyone in the school, or you can do any of that. But at the end of the day, it's harder for kids because we have to deal with bullying, we have to deal with stress, we have to deal with anxiety, we have to deal with depression, we have to deal with waking up every morning, go back to our work, and having repeatedly getting bullied and repeatedly like having stressed out about if you're gonna be able to pass the class, or if you're gonna be able to move on to the next year, if you're able to graduate. It's just more stress on us because of what you have to do.
But you don't think as parents that we don't have the same exact stress, that we're like, oh Jesus, I gotta go into a job that I hate because I didn't do very good in life in my formative years as a kid. Now I gotta go to a job that I hate. Now I gotta make sure I make enough money so my kids don't go hungry, or my kid needs a new pair of shoes, or my princess needs to get her prom dress for her prom, and I gotta work to do that. You don't think that that's stress for us as parents, for you guys, or is it because of all of the other outside influences you have with social media and the stuff like that?
I mean, it is stressful for parents to go home making sure they have, like, go to work, make sure they make a living for their kids and do all this for their kids. But it could also be, like, it's also very stressful for kids. Like, you brought up prom. I have to be able to have good grades to go to prom. Like, I can't just go to prom and have a good time. I have to be able to pass classes. I have to be able to do all this before I can actually make it to have the fun things in life. You can't just go through school and fail all your classes and be able to graduate and be able to go on to the next year and just forget about all those classes. It's not like middle school anymore. High school, you have to actually pass your classes, or you retake them, and you retake them over and over again until you actually pass, until you can graduate. Like, if you need to, you can be in school till you're 23 and not graduated. It's just a matter of fact, like, kids have to be able to pass all their classes and get all their stuff done and be able to go through school for them to get all the fun things and for them to, like, graduate and do all that.
Okay. But to me, see, I don't see that as stress. I see that just as a part of life, a part of growing up, to build you to see the stress that's later to come in life. You see what I'm saying?
No, because I see it as a ton of stress because I have to, like, my science class, I barely passed it. I would have had to retake it, completely drop a whole class, and drop half the credit and not be able to be finished my credits. So if I failed that class, I drop the class I'm about to take. Like, I'm in photography this semester,
right,
which is half a credit, which I finished my fine arts. Mm-hmm. My fine arts, I got all the credits for that. So technically, if I would have failed science, I would have had to drop that class and retake it another year and take my science class again. So I'd have had 2 science classes on top of all the other homework, other stuff I have.
Let's say I'm at work and I screw up really bad at work and I get fired from my job. Guess what? I don't get a redo. I don't get to have to just redo the class over. Now I have to go out and stress about finding a job, paying the bills, making sure that the house payment's done, making sure that the electric's on, making sure that the water's on, making sure there's food in the grocery in the refrigerator, making sure you guys the kids don't go hungry. So I screw up in the real world, guess what? I don't get a do-over. You see what I'm saying?
If you screw up in school, say you get in a fight, you go to scope, you might not, if it's that bad, you could get expelled. You could have to completely lose that school. You have to go find a whole new school, be able to try to get into the school because of what you did in your last school, how you got expelled and all that. So if you do screw up in high school, it's like the same penalty. You're going to get, secondly, like getting fired from school, and you're going to have to go find a new school, and you're going to have to get another education. You're probably going to get behind all the other kids because you took so long to find a new school to where you could get accepted.
Or you just go get your GED.
What if you're too young? What if you're like my age? You can't just get your GED when you're in freshman year. You have to have enough credits to be able to get your GED.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, who says that?
The people that give you GEDs.
How do you know?
I only have 4.5 credits. You need like 25 credits to graduate.
Okay, you're just a freshman. You've just completed your first semester.
What if I were to get into a fight and I got expelled from school and I needed those 20.4 credits to get, or at least half of those credits to get my GED and get all that done? What if I get in a fight at school the very last day before summer happens? I could get expelled and I couldn't go back that next year, and I'd have to go to a different school and be able to get into that school and be able to find a way to get to school and all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you screw up at school, it's the same thing. You're going to get penalized, and you might even have to get a whole new school.
Okay. So, like, let's say that the kid comes home, and like you said, that kid's with all that stress. As a parent, what should we be looking for then in a kid to see if our kid's okay? Because, I mean, there's an epidemic of young kids killing themselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's an epidemic. So as a parent, what are those things we're looking at? Because we're going to ask you guys. You're going to say, oh, yeah, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. So should we keep pressing as adults? Should we keep saying, are you sure you're okay? I mean,
I don't think you should keep pressing because it could just make us even more upset. Like, my parent won't leave me alone. What am I going to do? Like, how I'm going to have to add that on to the other stress I have at school and to all these other things. So as a parent, you're going to keep pressing on that. If your kid seems depressed, or if they seem to have anxiety, or if they seem to be too stressed out for school, you should take them to a doctor. So go see someone, see if they need, like, don't even, like, talk to them about it. You just got to go and, like, you just got to make sure they're okay. Like, you don't, like, if a kid has depression, if a parent doesn't know, they can't just keep pressing on them, like, what is wrong, like, tell me what's happening, and we're just going to say, it's okay, because that's, like, a mindset for us. Everything's okay as long as we get everything done.
But why is it that mindset of you? Because as parents, all we're here is to protect you, to make sure that you guys live productive lives as adults. So if we're worried about you, that we see that you're being depressed, and we're seeing that there's something wrong, and you're saying that we shouldn't press you, okay, so what if we're that one parent that we're not seeing our child, we're not pressing that child, and then we walk in and there's that child hanging from the closet?
If you see something is wrong with your child and you do see that something might actually be wrong physically and mentally, you should go to the doctor and have them diagnose the kid with depression or with anxiety, with whatever they need that, even if the kid refuses, because it's just going to be what's best for them. And at the end of the day, they'll know that's what was best for them. But if you do keep pressing...
will they?
Yes, we will, because we're going to notice that, oh, I have something mentally wrong with me. I should have gotten help whenever I knew something was wrong with me. But as a kid, if you keep pressing on us, we're just going to think, why do they care, blah, blah, blah. We're just going to think the worst, why do they want to know, all this. And we're just going to think they're, angry at us for being upset. And we're just going to think they're angry because they keep asking. We keep saying we're fine. But at the end, if they keep asking over, 100 times, and we finally tell them that something's wrong with us...
But that's why we're doing this show.
But if they keep asking, kids are going to be they're going to be mad at me if I tell them, so now I can't tell them. So if we say that we're fine 5 times, and then we finally tell them, we're not going to think to tell them because we're going to be they're going to be mad at me, I can't tell them now.
But do you really, okay, so let me ask you, because I've asked you guys this plenty of times. You know that there's been things that our family has went through, and it seemed like I'm the one that I would know right away. I'd be like, tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, no, don't sit here and bullshit me.
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on.
Some kids don't do that though. Some parents don't do that. Some parents are like, "Oh, you're fine. Okay, I'll just go on my day. You're fine." You're like,
yeah, but here's the thing: as a parent, though, see, and here's what you're missing as the kid. I understand everything that you're saying. Okay, I understand everything that you're saying. And one of the reasons why we said we wanted to do this show was to have those uncomfortable conversations between a parent, a 42-year-old father, with his 15-year-old daughter, right? And I know there's been plenty of times I said, "Princess, what's wrong?" "No, I'm fine, Dad." I'd be like, "No," and I would say, and you would end up telling me that there was something wrong, and we would talk about it.
Yeah.
You know. So how does that parent build that trust? That I know if I ask any one of you guys what's wrong, you guys are usually going to say, "Oh, nothing." I'm like, "No, seriously, what the fuck is wrong?" Because I'm not going to lie and I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you.
You're going to be straight up.
I'm not going to give you the bushy answers going, "Oh, it's okay. It's just life. You'll be fine." Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to straight up tell you, look, here's how it works. Life's going to hit you right in the mouth. You either got to accept it and lay down, or you got to stand up and pull your bootstraps up and get up and kick life right back in the mouth. And that's what it is. And you guys usually tell me, and then I usually help you guys work through your problems, and then you go on. But those parents that are just going to back away from their children and say, "Oh, we're fine," and then again, I'm going to go back to there's your kid hanging from the ceiling dead. Now, how do you think that parent's going to feel?
That parent's going to feel horrible. That's going to be bad on them. But some parents, they don't have the mindset that you do. Some parents, "Oh, they're fine. That's what they said. They trust their kid that much to know that they're fine whenever they say it.
But should we trust our kids that much?
Some might, some should. If your kid has a little key of, if you think they have some type of illness, mentally, you should talk to them about it or take them to a doctor. Then you should know that about your kid. If your kid is my age and they're just an a-hole, you should know that by now. You should know that they're going to be like that, and they're going to do that, and they're going to say things like that, and they're going to act like that. But, if it's a kid my age and they're all of a sudden all being rude and all that, there's something's obviously up, and some kids are just going to say it's fine, and some parents trust their kids so much that they're going to be like, "Oh, it's fine then." They're not going to be like, "Oh, just tell me, I need you to tell me."
Okay, so let's go back to that little asshole kid. Okay, let's go back to them. If I was could you see me being the parent of an asshole kid?
No.
Why? What would happen to him?
They get hit.
Am I really that abusive?
No, it's not like that. If you're gonna be an a-hole and you're gonna talk back to your parent and you're gonna be rude to them, you're gonna get hit. It's just a thing you should that's just a thing.
Right.
It's a given. Especially and kids parents that are grown up older parents, they know that that's their nature. If you're a rude kid, that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get hit in the mouth. You're gonna learn what's wrong, what's right. If you're a younger parent or your parents never did that to you, they're gonna think like, oh, why are you hitting your child? That's abusive. Like, that's not like, and like most kids' mindsets, it's not abusive to them because like my parents just teaching what's right and wrong.
Right. I remember the bass told me one time he was gonna call child services on me.
Little Dirty told you that too.
But yeah, what did I tell him? And what did I tell him? I said,
go ahead.
I go, here's the phone. I said, because by the time they got here, I'm going to show you what child abuse really is.
Yeah.
Here's the phone. Call them. Because I'm going to show you what child abuse is when I get done with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Okay, so those kids that are being the little assholes and stuff, are those kids that... How are you seeing them as kids when you're seeing them in school? How do you see those kids that just get away with murder from their parents? Because, see, me, I see it as a little kid that I'd grab him by his neck if it was my kid. And I'd literally, where would we be going? What do I always like to say? We're gonna go call the dentist.
Oh yeah, because you're gonna knock your teeth down our throat. But I see kids like that.
Those are the kids that I want to grab and say, man, listen, if you were my kid, I'd knock the holy living.
I want to do that too. Like, I just want to take the kid and just like hit them. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is not you. Like, blah blah blah. I see those kids as snobby little brat kids that are just always going to talk back to the teachers. Like, they're always the kids that I hate in my class because they do just talk back nonstop. They try to get away with it, whatever. They don't do their homework. They don't do their work. They don't pay attention to class. They sleep in class. Like, those are the type of kids that really do need to be hit. Like, it makes me angry because I'm in the school trying to get my degree. I'm trying to graduate and get my whatever diploma.
Because you got your dad's brains. You're not very bright.
So I'm just over here like I just want to get my diploma and leave. I want to start my life. I want to get into college. I want to do all this and start my life as it is. If you're going to sit in this classroom and just sit there sleeping, sit there wasting everyone's time, sit there talking back to the teacher while we could be learning, it's just a waste of my time and the kid's time because the kid is going to have to probably retake the class if he doesn't do it, or he or she doesn't do anything.
So when I was a kid, when I went to school, your parent had to sign. Linda just texted me. She goes, "Be careful, you're live. Tone down the physical stuff seriously." I'm not saying I would just want to see a random kid on the street and beat him up. If it was one of my kids, I would beat him up. You know what I mean?
Not literally beat them up, but
no, I would spank my kid.
Yeah.
I mean, let somebody call child. I mean, that's fine. That's their prerogative. I understand. Linda's looking out for us. That's sweet. I'm sure we'll hear from Linda on the way home, won't we? I mean, you've talked to Linda. I'm surprised she hasn't called us yet. Aren't you? But I mean, so like when I was in school, your parents. I was at that later part of life to where you could still get paddled in school.
Oh yeah.
But your parent had to sign a form.
Yeah.
Now you better not even think about that now.
Because that's abuse.
Right. But where did we change that to make it that way?
What do you mean? Like change it to where you can't do it anymore?
I mean, like where did we, as people? Because as adults, I think it's because I don't really want to spank my kid, but then it's sometimes you almost have to sometimes. You know what I mean? But how do you guys see it as kids? Like, prime example, when you grow up, you get married, you have your children, do you think you would spank your kids?
I probably would, because that's how I was raised. Like, I was raised, like, if you were bad and you did bad things, that's your consequence. Like, you're going to get hit to show you what is right and what is wrong. Other people might see, like, I'm never going to touch my kid because that's abuse, blah, 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 and all of that, because they're like, I wasn't raised that way, like, that shouldn't be the way it is. Because some parents were raised that way, and they're like, I hate you, blah, 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 like, I don't like you, why are you hitting me doing that? So the kids came to grow up and have kids, and they didn't do that to that kid, so that kid's always, like, snobby, thinks they can get away with whatever. But as a kid that was raised, like, if you got hit, you knew it was wrong, like, what you did was wrong. So as I'm going to grow up and have kids, I am probably going to hit my kids if I need to show them what is right and what is wrong, so they would grow up and know.
But do you think there might be a different form of parenting by that time? I mean, really, like at school, I think you guys should have of like what is right from wrong as you guys grow older as adults. I think you guys should have more real life things in school. You know what I'm saying? You know, about what really happened. What's going to happen to you. Because, I mean, I've told you guys this hundreds of times as kids. I'm like, look, I mean, we're going through this with face right now. I'm like, dude, you graduated high school. Right now is the time for you to really decide what you want to do.
Like your life started, like you didn't go to college, your life started now.
Like you can either live like me and work. I mean, you see me. There's times I can't even get out of the bed. I'm sore. I mean, I literally, my shoulders hurt, my knees hurt, my back hurt constantly because of all the hard work that I've done throughout my entire life. And I finally.
Your knees hurt because we have bad knees in our family. Like my knees hurt and I'm 15.
Well, not just that. I mean, there's other reasons by being a trash man and doing physical labor. I don't want any of you guys to do that. I want you guys to do better than me. And I guess that's why I'm kind of teaching you how to do this. So maybe you might say, hey, I don't want to be a chef. I want to do the internet radio thing.
Yeah.
Like my dad. I want to be on TV, and do stuff like this. You know what I mean? So this is the kind of stuff that I'm trying to teach you. I don't know. I think we had a lot of good responses. A lot of people were watching. This was our first show. It's not going to be Family Time, right? We're going to come up with a name.
We're going to think of something.
But, I mean, I think we had some very serious conversations about, of stuff like that. Like, if right now, before we sign off, because we've been on for an hour now already.
Yeah.
And it's starting to get a little louder in here.
Yeah, and I had to go home. I have school tomorrow.
You got school tomorrow. So if there's something you could say to any of the parents out there that are watching or the adults watching, a word of advice you can give to them about their kid and what they could do to maybe open up that dialogue with their kids like we're doing today.
I'd say earn your trust with your kid and don't let them just get away as easy as you're probably letting them get away, because some parents do let their kids get away like easy. Like they're just like, oh, you did this, okay, that's bad. Go do what you need to do. I say, like, teach them lessons, like not, like, actually just sit them down and be like, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is what's going to happen, like, it's not like school. You got to teach them, like, you got to earn their trust, you got to talk to them about what's right and wrong, you got to talk to them, even if they're, like, my age, and they don't know what's right and wrong, like, that's, like, something that shouldn't be a thing. So you got to be able to, like, go out there and talk to your kid and be like, hey, I need to talk to you about this, see if something's happening, like, if you see them acting differently, something's probably wrong with them, so I'd say go talk to them. Don't let them get off as easy, like, I'm fine. Like, don't let them do that, probably, because there probably is something wrong with them. They just don't want to talk. Like, you just got to be straightforward with them, and then you just also got to, like, teach them lessons, making sure they don't do bad things, because, like, you never know what they could be doing behind at school.
All right, I'm Dirty. Sitting right there next to me is the one, the only.
What's my name?
You're going by M, I thought.
Yeah.
You're going to say.
Oh, I'm M.
This is Family Time with Dirty and M.
Sorta.
Yeah, we're gonna come up with another name. We're gonna even have a little logo and graphic and all that
fun.
stuff. You like our studio though?
Our studio's great.
I know. Tell Linda thank you because we stole the One Nation Network.
Thanks, Linda.
Studio. I couldn't find one for us, so I'll find one for us. But we will be broadcasting every Wednesday night.
Maybe. I think we should change that.
What do you want to change it to?
A different night because I have other things with family at home.
That's why we're going home early. That's why I said we figured we
No, like I had dinner with people at home with my family.
Well, what other night are we going to do it? We got a show on Monday, got a show on Tuesday, got a show on Thursday.
We can do it Fridays.
Fridays?
Yeah. Because I have family at home right now.
Uh-oh.
And they probably left by this time. What?
No, they're not.
Yes, they will. They leave right after dinner.
You see who's on there? You see who's on there?
Oh, hi.
You see who's
on there? She missed it.
She did miss the entire show. Didn't she?
Mm-hmm. But we should think of another day because I have family that comes over and they leave like right after dinner.
That's what we'll do it from 6:30 to 7:30.
They leave by then.
Nah, they don't.
Yes, they do.
They'll be fine.
We can't do it like this. We need to find a different day.
It out. But right now we'll do it for Wednesdays until we can think of a different day.
We can do it Sundays.
I'm going to come down here every Sunday. You know what's on Sunday? Football.
I don't care. It's easy because you can just stop by here before you take us home.
I care that there's football on Sundays. So we're going to do it every Sunday night.
Uh-huh.
I got to work the next morning. You got to go to school.
I got to go to school tomorrow.
Okay, that's why we're done at 7:30.
Okay,
that's why we're going to go from 6:30 to 7:30.
But I have family things on Wednesdays at my mom's house.
All right. I'm Dirty. That's the little brat. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
Maybe.
You little brat.